Hello again, and so I want to continue on. It hasn't been a whole week yet, but I wanted to continue on with our discussion in reference to renegotiating your interest rates with your finance companies. And I am answering a question that someone posed to me. Usually, when one person asks a question, there's many that have that same question. So the question was about car loans and can you renegotiate your interest rate on your car loans? And sure you can, but it's a little different than what I was speaking of in our last video. And that was specifically talking about unsecured debt. Remember, we talked about secured debt, which is secured by an asset, and unsecured debt, which is not secured by an asset. And so credit cards are unsecured debt, meaning that there is no note associated with it. So it's easier to renegotiate a rate on an unsecured debt than there is on a secured debt. For a car loan or for a house, you actually have to get a new mortgage and a new note. So it's not as simple a process as just making a phone call. You actually fill out a new application and go through a whole process again. But I was specifically talking about credit cards and unsecured debt when I was saying simply making a phone call. And again, when they say no, call back again and call back again and call back again. And if you talk to customer service and you can't get any satisfaction with customer service, then ask for a supervisor, ask for a manager, ask for the credit department. And again, even if you have bad credit and if you haven't been paying on time, they will negotiate with you because they want to get paid. Now, other terms that you can negotiate other than just rate is you can negotiate other terms like maybe the day of the month that you pay. For instance, for me, I've negotiated with most of my credit card companies so that I have the payment schedule smoothed out throughout the month, so I don't have all the payments due on the first of the month. I have some due on the 15th, some due on the 27th, so I don't have I'm not bombarded with payments at the first of the month. I will tell you a short story. I remember, and actually I still have this tenant, always paid late. I couldn't quite figure it out because I saw their pay stubs. I knew how much money they made. So it didn't make any sense that they were always late. So I had to have an intervention session with them. We sat down and sort of did some financial planning and determined that it was better for them to pay twice a month, right after payday. Now, I very, very rarely get a late payment from them. So that may be something that you want to negotiate, not only the day of the month, but maybe to pay twice a month. The other thing that you can negotiate is maybe you want to increase in your limit. Now, again, if you are not disciplined enough to pay for the balance you have now, then I don't want you increasing your limit because that's just going to increase your debt instead of decrease your debt. But remember, I talked about previously your credit score, and your credit score is dependent upon your outstanding balance compared to your limit. So let's say you want your score to go up, but you're not in a position to make a huge payment on your debt. Then you can request an increase in your limit as long as you've have good payment history, and now your balance percentage is lower compared to your limit. Another thing you can do, I always say never, ever, 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 ever close out a credit card because it makes your score go down. But one of the things that you can do is consolidate your accounts. Scratch that. Never, I really am against consolidation, so scratch that out your mind. Rewind. Combine your accounts. So for instance, I had a credit card where I only had a $5,000 limit, and with that same bank I had another credit card that had a $19,000 limit, but I never used that credit card because there were no perks associated with that credit card. So I called the credit card company up and I said to them, I want you to combine this balance on this one credit card with this other credit card so that I then had a $25,000 limit which meant that that card that I used all the time for the perks would never ever go above that 30% threshold. And then I closed out that one card. Now, in that case, it did not negatively impact my credit. If it did, it was very, very minor because my overall limit stayed the same. If you do not have 5 or 6 credit cards, then this approach is not going to help you. Because if you only have 2 or 3 credit cards and now you go down to 2 or 1 credit card, then that's going to have a negative impact on your credit. Because remember that history is really, really important, and the number of cards that can be impacted will be less. So if you have, multiple credit cards, then this will work. But if you don't, then this is not an approach for you. So the idea is, as we're reducing your debt, is to also increase your credit score, because that increases your buying power. It increases your money power. Now, the other thing that I want to remind you, I'm going to cheat and add on something here because I always have to add on a homework assignment. I need you to start paying down that debt. So not only do I want you to pay the minimum balance, I want you to pay more than the minimum balance. Do you know that if you only pay the minimum balance on your credit cards, the credit card companies, obviously, they make money off of you not paying off that credit card. They don't like people like me that use the credit cards and don't make any money off it. I, first of all, don't get credit cards that you have to pay a fee on, except for I have one where it's a mileage card. But then I always pay my balances off, so they never make any interest off of me. But if you're carrying a balance, and if you only pay the minimum balance, on average, it's going to take you from 7 to 10 years to pay off that balance. It doesn't matter what the balance is. The way they calculate it, it's going to take you from 7 to 10 years to pay off that credit card. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. So you always want to pay double the minimum balance. If you can make the minimum balance payment, you can make double that payment. So if you're paying $25 a month, pay $50. If you're paying $40 a month, pay $80. And you may not be able to do it on all your cards initially, but over time, your goal is to pay all of them off. And so you want to be able to pay off all your debt within 3 years. That's your goal. All of your unsecured debt, your goal should be to pay that off in 3 years. So I want you to start looking at all of your bills and paying them off in paying double each pay period. So that's my homework assignment for you for today. I hope you're having a fabulous day and a fabulous week, and I hope that your journey toward debt freedom is going well. Have a blessed and supreme day, and remember, stay faithful, stay focused, and stay committed.